They put up. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Keep sharing the link. That's the statement they put up. Sorry. Yeah. So then, not to be outdone, the installed president Irfan Ali, he does an interview and he says the government has taken the decision that this group visiting next week are tied to activist Burke. And this government does not recognize and will not be part of any Rickford Burke sham outfit, which seeks to purported investigate issues raised at Burke organized. Oh my gosh, the grammar is so atrocious. Newsroom, come on. Newsroom, you can do better than this. Fix your grammar. Fix your English. Your English is like the crab marching in the mud here. Anyway, let me read it exactly how it is. The government of Guyana has taken a decision to shun a U.S. group visiting Guyana next week, with President Ali saying the group is tied to activist Rickford Burke and his government does not recognize and will not be part of any Rickford Burke sham outfit which seeks to purported investigate issues raised at Burke organized event in Washington in which the government of Guyana and many citizens were blatantly refused access to participate in. That was a rape of the English language. Newsroom, you could do better than that. So they're still complaining that they were not invited to the conference as we wait for Mark to join us. How can this, first of all, how it is that the PUP government can speak for Guyanese people? Many Guyanese, well, citizens were blatantly refused access. It's a private conference. You can't bully. Hold on. Let us establish something. I have to switch something here. So if we get disrupted, we'll get back. Keep sharing the link, everybody. I mean, how the government thinks that I'm talking to Mark. What you said? You trying to log on? All right, good, cool. Yeah. So the government is complaining that we didn't get access to this conference. You were just not invited. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Like, how you want bully your way to this conference? Like, this conference is a group of diaspora organizations came together and had this conference. How you want to come to the conference? But bear in mind, the government held its own discussions with US officials in advance of the conference to pre-book what was going to be said at the conference. They met with the US National Security Advisor. They didn't invite me. They didn't invite CGID. They didn't invite the diaspora organization. They didn't invite the opposition. They met with the Congressional Black Caucus. They didn't invite me. They didn't invite the opposition. They didn't invite CGID. They did not invite members of the combined diaspora organizations. They met with senators. They didn't invite us. They came up here and had investment forums for their own people. They didn't invite us. They never invite us to anything. Like, oh, we ain't inviting them people, they black people, and they criticizing the government. They say we racist. So why are they hung up on this conference? And remember, Barry Jagdeo said the conference was a failure. I played you all of those clips. Barry Jagdeo said the conference was a failure. So if this conference was a failure, how it is that you're still talking about it? How it is that you're complaining that you didn't get invited to a failed conference? Like, how does that work? The president went on. The group, well, the article from Newsroom, which is a PvP outfit, the group calling itself Organization of World Leaders announced that they're visiting Guyana following the Washington Forum, which was headlined by the Guyana opposition. In an interview, the president told Newsroom that his government stands, as it always has, ready to participate in meaningful discussions with recognized state actors and unbiased participants, and does not recognize the group coming. So who is unbiased? How does this government of Guyana determine who are state actors? These are elected officials. Elected officials from New York went to Guyana last week, about 9 or 10 of them. They did not go in their official capacity. It was not a state visit. The New York State legislature, Senate, and Assembly did not send these people to to do state business, Mr. Ali. Let's get it straight here. They did not. They did not. These people went on their own accord. I think we got Mark now. Let me see if I could. Mr. Benchcott.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Are you hearing me? Good night, sir. Are you on the trip to Guyana, or are you one of the undesirables?
Just 1 second, please. Let me just say, those who are watching from my platform, we are going to disconnect it because it's going to have a feedback, and go straight over to Rickford Burke's page, please. Thank you.
Good. Okay, great. Thanks. You hearing me now?
Yes, Rickford. Good night, and yes, I'm here.
Welcome to the conversation.
And clear. Good evening.
Good evening. First question. What's your response to the statement by the government saying they don't recognize the team coming from Guyana? I'm looking at the president's statement first. It says that the government only recognized state actors and unbiased participants. We had a team from New York State Assembly that were on an unofficial visit in their private capacities, and the government went with them. Can you tell us if there's any difference here
Well, you said it earlier, and good night again to you, Rickford. Good night to we know we have two individuals in Guyana who currently watching us, one eating curls and the one eating poppy chow. They are watching. They know who they are. Um, they want to
What are they eating?
dictate. They want to control the show. And when they don't control the show, when they don't get an opportunity, they seek to destroy. And that is exactly what they're doing. You mentioned earlier about the conference in Washington. Imagine they are forcing themselves to be invited at a function that they are not wanted. They are unwanted. They are undesirables. They want to be there to give this perception that they mean well. They do not mean well. They're a bunch of convicts. They're a bunch of hooligans, a bunch of fraudsters, a bunch of money launderers. That's who they are. That's what they are about. And people don't take them seriously, Rickford. In fact, thousands upon thousands of their supporters are walking away from them right now. That's what's happening.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, one of their supporters just emailed me today saying the same thing, that they hope that we can have change in Guyana. So their supporters are calling for change. We see Mad Max, who used to support them, who was a guardian of democracy, now turning against them. But I want to come back to the statement they issued, because I'm going to play your interview a little in a bit with members of the delegation as they were actually at the Miami airport or the Atlanta airport. The government said, the statement said, the government of Guyana notes from publications on social media that this delegation is going to Guyana. You and I know that's not true, because Ms. Hawkins, D. Hawkins, said that she, in her statement and today in our interview with you, that she has been in communication with President Ali. And he has been sending her material saying that all the allegations about racism is not true. So the government must know that they'll be caught lying when they put out a statement like this.
It is not that, Pierre Finale. We've got to understand, Rickford, and I think by now you know, and all of your viewers know, that Ali is not a real man in this game. Ali may have wanted, Ali may have agreed, but after he went to the guy that's eating Poppy Chow right now watching us, that particular guy said, no, no, cancel it. And therefore he found a reason, he found a scapegoat. Who else they could choose as a scapegoat? Rickford Burke. They're going to make Rickford Burke the boogeyman in this, to say, look, we are not going to meet with this group because that group is allegedly connected to Rickford Burke. That is a lame excuse, is the biggest stupidity in all form. The fact of the matter is they have been caught with their pants down. They know that there is sufficient evidence of racism, all forms of discrimination right now in Guyana, and they are being exposed every single day. That's the only reason that he, Irfan, backed off, because Poppy Chow guy told him to back off.
I want to play, because the government says that I want to play the interview you had with Miss Dawkins. Let me just pull it up. Let me see if I can share my screen. All right.
You're getting old, Rickford.
I know. I'm putting it. I'm getting there.
Yep.
So let's see. I have no technician tonight, so. Oh, okay. I'm getting it.
and will benefit all of Guyana so they can achieve the goal of becoming indeed one Guyana.
You know, one of the things quickly, and we just have them on the line with us. Good afternoon, folks. How are you guys doing? Dee, how are you? And how excited are you about this trip?
I'm very excited about this trip because the people of Guyana have spoken, and we're just coming to have a conversation with all the parties involved, every stakeholder, to make sure that we come up with a fact-finding mission that is unbiased and will benefit all of Guyana so they can achieve the goal of becoming indeed one Guyana.
You know, one of the things quickly, the regime has issued a press release through Mr. Irfan Ali saying that he doesn't want to meet with you guys because of a particular situation. How do you take that press release coming from the government?
I'm very disheartened by that statement that was made by the president because, one, we have no relationship with Rickford Burke. We are independent, we are unbiased, and we are autonomous. And this is not the first time that this has happened. We are coming just to be a sounding board for the citizens of Guyana, in particular, those who are Guyanese Americans or those who just have something that they want to say to the larger population, whether in America or we are in the airport, so please forgive us for the sound.
Yeah, that's okay.
But we want to be very clear that we have no relationship with Rickford Burke. I have never met Rickford Burke. None of the delegation has ever met or spoken to Rickford Burke. None of that delegation. None of the delegation has ever done so. And so for the president or the PPP to make such an allegation to say that we are tied to the PPP is fallacious, and it is very, it impugns our integrity. These are individuals who are elected officials or activists in their own right. And so for them to come out and say that we, for some reason, have been tied to a situation that is trying to be with, I think it's, what is the name of that, his group, CDIG? I don't even know the name of the group, but whatever it is, that is unfalse. And it has no merit, and it is very disheartening because I myself.
Hey, it's not this member in Group 6. Now, welcome aboard. This is Flight 1245 on self-service to Miami. Boarding Group 1 through 6 at this time.
That's okay.
I reached out to the president myself prior to the first press release being released out of courtesy because I do respect the sovereignty of the nation and himself, to say that a press release will be coming out the next day, to say that we were coming to Guyana. And he indeed responded back. He did say that he did not, that all of the things that were being said were lies, however, that he was looking forward to our visit. So then to see all of this propaganda or all this information that's going out on the email now is very disheartening because I thought that we all had a working relationship.
What do you expect to achieve from this fact-finding, this independent fact-finding mission in the end?
I'm believing that we'll be able to speak to all the Guyanese citizens and they'll be able to tell their stories. Because sometimes, being a former, politician myself, sometimes politicians may slant stories, but it's good to go to the base of the conversations, to go on the ground, to the people themselves, and let them express their sentiments. And that's what we're going to do. We are totally unbiased. We have no personal stakes in this game. We just want to see the best for all the citizens of Guyana, regardless of their ethnicity. And we thought that we were doing indeed the right thing. But to come out and say that we are some kind of way tied to Rickford Burke is a stretch, and we are very disheartened by it.
Yeah, quickly before you go.
So go ahead, tell me what you have to say.
No, sir, my name is Marcus Coleman. All I was going to say is I was a part of the last delegation, and when we met with the president and his administration, this same individual's name came up as far as being associated with us. At that particular meeting, we had to make it very.
Group 7 passengers now welcome aboard Group 7. This is Flight 1245 with service to Miami. Boarding Group 1 through 7 at this time.
We had to make it very stern that we have no relationship, and that's, Mr. Dawkins already just stated. That is the position this time, but it is troubling for myself, who is one of the ones returning, that here is again that me being a part of this coalition is now being tainted before it gets started, and it happens to deal with the same individual whose name we made it quite clear 2 years ago. So I'm looking forward to getting there so we can clear all this mess up.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for that, though. But quickly, were you surprised when Mr. Irfan Ali actually found a reason not to meet with you guys, even put everything, a cover over everything to say that there's no discrimination, there's nothing, even without giving you guys a chance to meet and hear what he has to say?
Yes, I was very surprised, but I am sure that because of the contentious relationship between Mr. Rickford Burke and the PPP, that there are some type of situation that is going on that would make them feel uncomfortable. However, Maybe he should have reached out to me directly because he has all of my contact
Group 8
information.
passengers now welcome aboard. Group 8.
Transparent with the president. Actually, I was holding him in high esteem, and for him to come out and just go and say that this, he's shunning our visit, and to say that we have some type of relationship with Rickford Burke was very disheartening to me, especially when I gave him upfront notice every time before we put out a press release or before we decided to even come, and then for him to say he was looking forward to seeing us, and then for this statement to come out, it was very disheartening to me.
Finally, I know you guys are at the airport. Guyanese who are watching this program right now, listening to you guys, what message do you have for them as you're about to embark on that mission, that fact-finding mission? What message do you have for all Guyanese?
I would like to say to all of the Guyanese people that
This will serve the general boarding call from our next flight 1245 with service to Miami. At this time, we're boarding all groups, all roads at this time. All ticketed confirmed passengers now welcome aboard.
That to all the Guyanese Americans, not Guyanese Americans, all Guyanese who are willing to meet with us have reached out. We have had an overwhelming response to our visit. We look forward to speaking with you all. And don't worry, even if we don't get on this visit, we will come again because we do want to hear the petitions of the people, and just know that we are all in this thing together, no matter where we are in the diaspora. Many of us have been part of colonization or part of oppression across the world, and it is very disheartening to see that any ethnicities who have been in minorities would ever be fighting against each other. We have to make sure that we send a strong message to any type of patriarchal society that would try to pit us against each other. So we need to be strong in what we're doing. I believe that one Guyanese can be achieved if we all work together.
Thank you so much, and we wish you guys a safe flight, and God bless you. Appreciate it.
There you go, everybody. So that was Mark interviewing the delegation, at least part of the delegation, as they were on their way to Guyana at the airport, actually. Mark, this is not the first time we've seen something like this. The government attacks you, they attack me, anybody with influence in the diaspora that speaks out against them. They not only attack them, they use the instruments of the government to attack, but they use law enforcement. They use the police to come after you. You see in the government statement, they say, oh, Rickford Burke is wanted in Guyana. What for what? What for God? They did the same thing to you a couple of decades ago, where they had you in jail for 5 years for speaking out. And now they're doing the same thing in a more enlightened world where people can, there's social media, people can see, instantly what is going on. And you hear Ms. Dawkins, the audience, you hear Ms. Dawkins saying that she has been in communication with President Ali. And you hear Mr. Coleman said that in 2021, when they made a similar visit to Guyana and met with the government brought up my name. And in that conversation, people told us that the government asked them how they could deal with Rickford Burke, how they could get the US government to basically silence me. What do you make of these efforts by the government to silence people?
Well, I've always held the view that, and mind you, Rickford, I don't recognize these Pakus in office as a government. I don't recognize Irfan Ali as a president. I don't address him as such. And if I do at any point in time, it's a slip of the tongue and people should correct me. They're a bunch of vagabonds. They're installed regime. He has been put there as an installed so-called president that has not been administering for the people. They have always been targeting their political opponents. If they don't kill them, they jail them, they continue to persecute them, they discriminate against them. You can't have a job. If you have a radio station, a television station, they target you economically, all manner of things. These people are vampires. They are vagabonds. They are in no position to address anybody as criminals or as wanted. Imagine, I have seen on a couple of occasions that guy who is eating poppy chow right now, the butcher from Unity, address you as a criminal Burke in his basement. Who could be more a criminal than Barrett Jack Dale? Barrett Jack Dale has been in every single corrupt dealings in Guyana. Barrett Jack Dale should have been charged with genocide, crimes against humanity. And look at what he's trying to sell out, give away a piece of Essequibo to Venezuela. He should have been charged with treason. That guy's have That guy has no moral authority to be describing people as criminal. And now Irfan Ali has joined that bandwagon of that Puppy Chow guy to say that Rickford Burke is wanted for certain crimes in Guyana. We know that it's politically instigated. We know that it's all trumped up. We know that it is to get back at you. But what they're not telling these people who are going to Guyana right now, and what they're not telling the other folks, is that Irfan Ali was charged, not trumped up, 19 fraud charges leveled against him that he never. They zigzag their way out of court. And as he got installed, it is the PPP-controlled DPP that withdrew those charges. So he's still got 19 fraud charges of allegedly defrauding the nation of hundreds of millions of dollars. And he doesn't want to talk about the corruption when he was Minister of Housing. How he chased people out of his office, chased people out of the ministry, and all manner of things. So, Burke, these people have no moral authority, none whatsoever.
And then we have the convicted criminal in the cabinet.
I haven't been on your show for a while.
Go ahead.
Now, let me say this to you, Rickford, that the same Irfan Ali, and they're quick to jump, and especially if you're of African descent, they want to describe you as a criminal, as this. That's what they do to people like us. It is something that has been a pattern. And because we are rejecting them, we are standing up to them, they don't like that. And so they'll find all manner of allegations and accusations against us because we stand strong. We're brave enough to say enough of these vagabonds, enough of Irfan Ali and these guys. But isn't it the same Irfan Ali who has promised the nation to explain why the Canadians blocked him from going to Canada? He's not going to say that it was as a result of allegations of money laundering. Some of those people who are on the list of being money launderers that Ali was alleged and is alleged to have been laundering money with them, some of them are doing business in Guyana. The same Irfan Ali is cozying up with a man who is wanted by several U.S. law enforcement agencies over here for money laundering, gold smuggling, drug dealings, assassinations, and all these manner of things. So, Rickford, calm yourself down in your basement where you are. Don't allow these people to get to you with nothing at all. And I say this because, as you have outlined, and the people have said, the visiting team to Guyana, that Rickford Burke has absolutely nothing to do with this. But they are jumping to make poor Rickford Burke a scapegoat. If their wife get pregnant, oh, it must have been Rickford Burke. If their nanny disappear and go away to America somewhere, oh, Rickford Burke must have sent for them. Every single thing is, right now they're dark barking out there. They're probably saying Rickford Burke is a defense. These people are Looney Tunes, Mr. Burke. They cannot govern a country. Discrimination every day. They bulldoze people's homes. They bully people for their lands and their ancestral lands, their properties, their businesses. They do not give persons of African descent contracts unless you suck up to them. And then when they give you the contracts, it's basically pittances. All manner of things that they've been doing. This government, this so-called PPP regime government, has to be removed by every legal and electoral, mind you, means necessary. They are corrupt, they are racist, and they must be told just that. They're afraid of this visiting team. Here why? Because the visiting team, organized by folks on the ground, and let me say kudos to folks like Lincoln Lewis and others who are part of the organizing team, but they're not going to jump to Lincoln Lewis. They're not going to jump to the others that they are aware who are behind the scene. But poor Burke, hanging on a limb, everything is Burke. They want to blame Burke.
I'm not on any limb.
You need to go and bathe with some blue water. That's what you need to do.
But Mark, you mentioned this basement thing, and they are very comfortable repeating a Jim Crow era racist epithet, racial epithet against Afro-Guyanese that we in the diaspora, you and I in particular, say we live in basements. It's a racial epithet, a stereotype of Black people to say we live in poor living conditions and we live in basements. And they're very comfortable throwing this racist epithet at us. And when you go to Queens, that's where all their people live. They live in basements. The other day we had a big flood in Queens, and 2 of their people died in basements. But
Rickford,
it is the comfort with which,
Rickford,
and I don't mean to demean anybody
coming,
living in a
coming
basement.
from that deal, if he says that I live in a basement, and these are things I don't care. Jagdeo came from a Folkub in Unity. He was your social study teacher. He probably used to hide when he coming out of that Folkub to go and teach y'all. Then he moved from the Folkub and he used to live in a shop front, a filthy rat-infested shop front in Kitty. And then after he became junior minister of housing, finance, and he
Finance.
bullied his way through Asghar Ali. He talked Asghar Ali name to become senior minister of finance. That is when he started to push his hands in the cookie jar. And then he get mansions and all these things. He had that big house at Pradoville 2, Pradoville 1. He sold it to a businessman in Trinidad. Then he took away the people's land from Pradoville 2. He took away ancestral lands and he built that semi-mansion with taxpayers' money that he stole. He is not a rich guy. He has stolen money from the taxpayers of that country. And today he's a filthy rich guy because he stole taxpayers' money. So these vagabonds, these thief men, that convict Barajadeo has no moral authority to talk about who is a criminal and who is not, who lives in a basement and who is not. None whatsoever. So let's not bother with him in basement. Right now I'm broadcasting from my basement, peeping at them in Guyana, peeping at those corrupt bastards in the PPP. So what? Stay in your basement and let's talk.
Now, the response is impetuous, right? It's what we call like these little children throwing a temper tantrum, like, oh, they're coming to investigate us. And the thing about it is like, how can the government differentiate between them accepting Senator Roxanne Prasad and her team that went last week, and now this team from Georgia? Because, and by the way, let me say this: the president said he referenced the team that went last week. The installed president.
I thought you were talking about president of CGID, but go ahead.
That's a real president. The installed president, Ali, said that he welcomed the team last week because he likes them, right? He likes the people there. They can run with his narrative. But one of those elected officials who went to Guyana last week told me and a group of diaspora Guyanese that he indeed found evidence of discrimination and urged us to form a legal defense fund to fight discrimination in Guyana. And he doesn't know that, but he's boasting that, oh, the team last week headed by Senator Prasad was a nice team, and he liked the team because they did not go down there saying that they want to be on a fact-finding mission. They said they went down there to speak to people. These people are saying, listen, we hear the complaints all the time from our constituents, from Guyanese, and we want to go down and look at Guyana, talk to all the people, and try to decipher what's going on and come up with recommendations so that we can have an inclusive society. That's all. What's the difference?
You know, I'm disappointed in that group that you've mentioned. And I spoke with some of them even before they visited Guyana, and that remains private. But their public utterances, I think I share the same sentiments as yours, where behind the scene they have a different story. I am disappointed that the team from Brooklyn, local representatives from Brooklyn, State Senator Roxanne Prasad and others went to Guyana not as a fact-finding mission, because State Senator Prasad would say it up front, look, Mark, it's not a fact-finding mission. They're just going there on an excursion. However, the PPP, and as you know, Rickford, they're controlling the Consul General's office. Right now, the Consul General, the Guyana Consul General of New York, is not his own man. He is being controlled by a lackey, one guy who beat up some woman who went to prison for beating up some guy named O.C. Rogers, and another guy is controlling the Consul General's office.
Yusuf.
Yeah, Yusuf. And so they got a hold of
another guy that went to jail for allegedly stalking a woman.
Wait, so all these guys went to jail?
Yeah. So, they were the PPP. It's a crime family.
These guys are crooks. Anyways, So they were the ones who tried to get control of these elected officials and promised to wine and dine them when they go to Guyana. If you notice, they shook hands, they took pictures. It was an excursion. It wasn't a serious visit. It was not a fact-finding visit at all. And Roxanne Prasad would be the first to say that. However, she knows exactly what's happening, but it is politics. These people want to be re-elected and they want financial contributions and so forth and so on. And I'll say this publicly. I'm disappointed in the group that they've turned a blind eye publicly on the discrimination of mainly persons of African descent in Guyana. I am disappointed in them. This group is a different group. This group is not allowing themselves to be controlled by Irfan Ali. Irfan Ali and Jack Dave, they want to control the narratives. They're not getting that opportunity. And though, like little girls, they are very upset. And when they're upset, who are they going? They don't have anybody else to blame. And bring Paul Burke into this whole mess. And Paul Burke has nothing to do with it other than the fact that you've had your conference in Washington, D.C. And mind you, congratulations on that. Next time, please do slip me an invite. But at the end of the day, you know, they are losing sleep. These people are paranoid. They know that elected officials and people in the diaspora view them as racist. And if you notice, Burke, they're now rushing to give 1 and 2 African Guyanese a little contract here, a little oil block that
Exactly.
they themselves control. They themselves control. That's another issue. But let us not take away the focus that these guys who are heading to Guyana right now, this fact-finding team, independent fact-finding team, they know that whatever comes out of this, it is going to be sent to the White House and other places. And they're scared of that. And
that's it.
As of now, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm saying that's it. They're scared of the fact that these people have said that they will send their findings to the State Department, Congressional Black Caucus, and White House. That's what they're scared of.
Exactly. And they are saying that Irfan Ali, that crook who was charged for 19 fraud charges, who we don't know where University of Iflat is, but yet these people come and sit and want to call people criminal and all manner of things. Does that make them feel good? Jack Deo has been associating with criminals practically all of his political life, even when he was at the university out in Moscow. All manner of things he did, Rickford. All manner of things. Sorry, I make my face like that. All manner of things. And these people are shameless creatures who should never have given an opportunity to rule or ruin that country again. I am glad that this mission, these folks are on the ground. Some of them are already there. Some more will be going in shortly. I am glad that they're there. I'm taking this opportunity, Rickford, to call upon victims of the PPP regime, whether it's the Henry boys' relatives, and I say condolences to the mother of one of the Henry boys. Another mother of the Henry boys died yesterday. Or in Boston's family, then Peter Headley's family, and all of these families, all of the victims, including the 4,000 plus public servants who were fired, mainly persons of African descent, who were fired by this corrupt installed PPP regime.
Mark, what do you make of the fact that the government, when Irfan Ali rushed to Washington, in advance of the Washington conference, he said there during a meeting, I think it was at the embassy or something, he said that the government welcomes anybody to come to Guyana to investigate, see what's going on, come on the ground, talk to the people. What happened? What happened? Now that these people are going on the ground to talk to the people, do you get the impression that they only want people who would run with their narrative, that there's no discrimination, that's why they're panicking here?
Roxanne Prasad and them ran away with that. I noticed you have some trench crappos in your audience saying, you know, you gotta get these trench crappos off. Now, I say this, the instruction that these vagabonds in office, these criminals in office who should never have been there at all, they want everybody to be yes men. Oh, things are lovely in Guyana. People are not starving. Cost of living is not high. The unemployment rate is the highest it has ever been. They have promised 50,000 jobs. Nothing at all. They promised free education at the university level. Another lie. The people in Region 10 are no. There's no job for young people. There's nothing at all. If you go to Port Brant, you go to Rose Hall, you go to Blackbush Boulder, rice farmers are crying out. The rice farmers yesterday in Essequibo were protesting because a PPP rice farmer is robbing the ordinary rice farmers, and no one is there to protect them. You have people who are wanted by U.S. law enforcement agencies, are given contracts of millions upon millions of dollars, but yet these people expect us to sit back and allow them to continue with their corruption and their racism? No, 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 no. It is not going to happen. With my last breath, I will continue, and we will continue. And you see, Poppy Chow and Corn Curls right now don't like the fact that we are here together. We might have our disagreements at times. And there are times I want to come over into your basement and put on a gloves and say, let's take it off here now. Because I know you can't beat me, Rickford. Again, we've gone through that. But they don't like this here.
Why don't you tell the people I used to beat you up when you were a kid? It's all right.
Yeah. They don't like this form of unity. It makes them tremble. And right now their bumps are raising. You're going to hear him at his next so-called press conference.
Barkan bench camp.
You know, I don't know. It's painful to hear him call my name. I don't know.
I want to come back to some of the things they said in this statement. Let me pull it up back. I really want to dissect it. Now, one of the things I find very strange in this statement, apart from the fact they complained that they were not invited to the conference, apart from the fact that they said that this mission is influenced by me and the opposition, I'm really powerful. I mean, I'm influential. I can get legislators from 7 states to go to Guyana. I never realized my real influence. So I have to really bear that in mind. But apart from all of that,
Rickford, you will go down in history as a man who sat in his basement, his tiny basement, and make them
effect change.
Because even though there's no evidence at all, Paul Burke always getting Poppy Chow and Corn Curls always blaming Burke. I think they like you, Burke. I think Poppy Chow likes you.
Which one is Poppy Chow and which one is Corn Curls?
Let your listeners decide which one is Poppy Chow, which one is Corn Curls. I think they know.
So, Mark, the government is saying they're in government. They have the power to initiate commissions of inquiries and all sorts of investigation. But they're operating like they're still in opposition. They're like, we want an investigation into the 1968, 1973, 1980, and 1985 elections. The massive violations of human rights laws and freedom in 1968 and 1990 to 1992. Excuse me. They skipped entirely 1992 to 2010 or 2015. They ain't going over that. They said the abuse of all the violations and the assassination. This government, the PPP that killed over 1,400 people, including Ronald Waddle, including Courtney Cumming, are saying they want an investigation into Walter Rodney's death. Walter Rodney's political party have said that they are more dangerous. And Mark, did we lose you? I'm not sure what happened there. But Walter Rodney, the WPA, which is part of the coalition, said that these guys are more dangerous than anything they faced. They killed over 1,400 people. They said they want an investigation into the mismanagement of the Guyanese economy from 1968 to 1992, when Professor Clive Thomas, Mark, did a study and said that revealed that this PPP government, sorry, the last PPP government under Barry Jagdale, his words, either stole or siphoned off a total of $5 billion US from the Ghanaian economy. Before you answer, they went on to say widespread racial ethnic discrimination. 30,000 Guyanese fired by the Granger administration. 30,000, that's the whole region. The PPP government said 30,000 Guyanese was fired. and flagrant and multiple attempts to to fraudulently alter the results of the elections in 2020. Good God, they're the government. But they completely skipped over all of the killings PPP operatives did between 1996 and 1964, burned down black people's home, killed hundreds of black people, bombed the Sun Chapman, committed domestic terrorism. They skipped all of that. Burned villages, burned homes. They skipped all of that. And they went to boredom. Boredom did this and boredom did that. They're still poor boredom, dead and gone. When you and I die and go, they'll still be talking about us like this. What do you make of this litany of trash, diatribe, hogwash that they put in the statement saying they want the US to come and investigate?
Well, like you said, it's hogwash and it's trash, and usually you bring a garbage truck to dispose of it. They should bring someone to investigate corruption at the highest level, starting with Barra Jack Dale. $200 million spent on the Skeleton Sugar Factory, wasted. Hundreds of millions of US dollars spent on the fiber optic cable from all through the Linden-Suzdijk Highway. And the breaking up of that highway is as a result of Barra Jack Dale's running a fraudulent cable there. The Hydro Project, fraud. Marriott, fraud. Princess Hotel, fraud.
Barbie's Bridge, fraud.
Fraud. Every single thing is fraud upon fraud upon fraud. Are they going to bring international investigators to investigate that? Are they going to investigate how they stole the 97 elections and it was vitiated in 2001 by the very Claudette Singh, who sits there as chairman of the Guyanese Elections Commission? Are they going to talk that in 2001 they lost the elections as well? It was rigged. Are they going to talk that in 2006 that they stole a seat from Linden, the people of Linden, Region 10, and give it to Sam Hines, who squatted on that seat for 5 years? Are they going to talk that they attempted to rig the elections again in 2011, where they deliberately miscalculated and gave the PPP 1 seat extra, which would have placed Donald Ramotar as the majority president? Are they going to talk about that? Electoral fraud upon fraud upon fraud and rigging of elections? The PPP is past master at that. Are they going to talk about the SOPs that they constantly talk and push in the face of the opposition and say, show me your SOPs, show me your SOPs? To this day, over 3 years, they have been persecuting individuals like Roxanne Myers, Keith Lowenfield, Mingo, and others. And the cases cannot be heard because you know why? There is
No evidence.
None whatsoever. That SOP stuff was just a propaganda. You're in office now. They are in office now. Why are they afraid of all of the elections petitions? If they have nothing to hide, they would not have been afraid of the elections petitions. If they had nothing to hide, they would not have been persecuting these people, dragging on their cases for over 3 years. It's a violation of their human rights, of their constitutional rights. And this is why we need the opposition to be stronger in standing up and say, enough is enough. And so this visiting team in Guyana will get an opportunity to see and hear of all these things firsthand. They will be throughout the country. They will be in Linden. They will be in Berbice. They will be meeting with ordinary folks. Everyone they will be meeting with. And nobody will be lying. There will be no propaganda. And I hope they go into Mocha and interview and talk to those people who have been brutalized, discriminated, and their places bulldozed by PPP thugs. They need to go there and talk to those individuals as well, and the people who are crying out for justice. And you know, when they have their meeting, hopefully at Critchlow Labour College, that the PPP guys vandalize their bathroom, their toilets and so forth at Critchlow Labour College, the same Critchlow Labour College, they starve of any sort of subvention. These are the things, Rickford, that the people will get an opportunity to hear. And that is why Poppy Chow and Karen Curls, their bumps are raising right now. No one believes them any longer. And no one cares what they say. No one cares of the accusations or allegations they level against anyone. So when they call you a criminal and they say that you live in a basement, carry that as a badge of honor. Coming from
Indeed.
Pat telling Ketley bottom black. That is the problem.
Indeed. I want to raise a very serious concern. And one of the members of Congress of the Congressional Black Caucus asked me this question, and it was really puzzling. And that member of Congress asked me, how come this government came all the way to Washington to tell the Congressional Black Caucus of its plans for inclusion, its plans to empower the African Guyanese community, but they've never told the African Guyanese community? How come, since this government came to power, even before they were in government, and before they were in opposition, when they were in government from 1992 to 2015, and now for 3 years, they have refused to meet with Black organizations, legitimate Black organizations, the organizations like IPADG, AGDA, Coffee 250, all these organizations that are complaining about racism, that represent the perpetuation of African culture or the interests of African Guyanese or empowerment of African Guyanese. How come the government has never met with them? But we see them meeting with everybody. They're running to Washington. We want to meet and take a picture with Congressman Jeffries and the Black Caucus. And every time they meet a Black politician, they show, oh, we meet a Black man. We met a Black politician. Yeah, we met Gregory Meeks. They are dying to meet with Black U.S. politicians, but they don't want to meet with Black people in Guyana. What is responsible for this oxymoronic posture here?
Well, they don't have any regards to Black folks in Guyana, African Guyanese, unless they can give them a little handout, like a $25,000 bonus or a $25,000 cash grant, if Black folks are lucky to have it. Keep in mind the pandemic, the COVID cash grants. Thousands upon thousands of Guyanese are still waiting with their pink slips, and majority of those persons are of African descent. So we are aware of the corruption. We are aware of the tricks of the PPP regime. The only reason they want to, and I urge these politicians overseas, especially in the US and so forth, to be careful when they shake these guys' hands, because at some point in time, their hands will have bangles on it, because their names have been calling in corruption, widespread corruption. The Canadians have not forgotten about Irfan Ali and the reason why they stopped him from going to Canada. They're not going to stop him from going to Canada because he's a mosque boy or church boy or whatever. They stopped him from going to Canada because he was under serious investigations. He has promised you guys to say why they blocked him. He never did that. Barra Jack there doesn't like to travel any longer. He knows why too. Unless he's going to China to take care of that, the allegations that he got billions of dollars in a bank account in China and all these manner of things. Or he's going to Venezuela to help sell out Essequibo again. These people have no moral value. They have absolutely nothing. They just want to pacify people. So when they attempted to pacify Congressman Hakeem Jeffries is a smart guy. But just remember a dummy, a guy who could barely read at the primary school level, Karen Curls, is saying that he had to school or educate Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman Jeffries, about the situation in Guyana. When you and I know, and some of your listeners know, that it has been over 15, close to 2 decades that Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman, has been well informed about what's happening in Guyana, especially the discrimination under the PPP regime. For 23 years, they have been doing that to people. For 23 years, when you spoke, and you oftentimes mention about the hundreds of persons who were slaughtered as a result of death squads of the PPP regime, remind them also that a sitting government minister in the name of Gadraj, Ronald Gadraj, has had his US visa, Canadian visa, and his UK visas revoked because of serious allegations of being involved in death squads, sending people to murder other citizens, even though some of those citizens were accused of crimes. Should these same death squad go and you know what I mean, just because of an allegation? Come on.
I want to turn to
some Some of these trench crappos in your, I don't know how you tolerate some of these trench crappos. You see, one of the
Maybe the moderators are not on tonight, but we'll deal with them.
They're what they love to talk about. People's wife. We don't talk about Jack Neal's wife. Sorry about that, Mr. Burke. Go ahead. Sorry.
Now, I want to look at this whole issue of the land seizure for Afro-Guyanese. And this is one of the things I'm sure will come up during this fact-finding mission. I'm trying to assess this dichotomy here. We have a country that has 83,000 square miles. Only 18% of Guyana, 18% of the 83,000 square miles are occupied. And this government is taking away land only from Afro-Guyanese. I don't care what they say. Only from, I have never seen any, maybe there is, but I've never seen any prominent case where somebody, other than we know that they're also trespassing on Amerindian lands, which have special rights. I've never seen any person other than, and like I said, they may be, I'm just not aware of it, Black people where they have taken away their lands, gone and bulldozed up their land. I've seen them going to squatting areas where their supporters live and give them title for those lands, or relocate them and give them title. Immediately, they go and share out titles. I've not seen that in Mucka. I've not seen that in Hillfoot. What do you make of this fact that Afro-Guyanese businessmen lands are targeted, ordinary Guyanese citizens, Afro-Guyanese citizens lands are targeted, but this government is not willing to go and open up new lands and burst the country open and build new roads and build new communities, but they come in and take away them poor Black people land. What do you make of that?
Well, that's their agenda, to target Black folks. And you're correct. We haven't heard of any East Indian Guyanese lands that they have taken away. They oftentimes go after and they target persons of African descent. They did that in Linden. As soon as they got into office, they bulldozed a woman's and other people's properties in Linden, farmlands in Linden. They went to Mucka, they did the same. They went over at Kingley by Lincoln Lewis generation, the Koja McPherson. Ancestral land they want to take away, covet people's lands. And all of these people, just not miraculously, they happen to be persons of African descent, African Guyanese. Everywhere they go, that is what they do. But let's also remember that they target some of our Indian brothers and sisters who are not part of the PPPC. And so they go after these people viciously as well. Look at what they have done to Lachman Aziz and her husband and their butcher shop. Burnt the butcher shop down and attempted to chase the people and possibly kill those very people as well. So if you're not with them and you're East Indian, they're going to try to hurt you economically, or even if they get a chance to kill you, they will kill you. Majority of the cases that we see that they're going after, persecuting and ensuring that they discriminate are against persons of African descent. Look, let me give you an example. And just to say this, since this corrupt installed regime has gotten into office, they have given hundreds of millions of dollars worth of advertisements, taxpayers' money, to their friends and cronies who own radio stations and newspapers and television stations. But you know what? Ben Shop Radio, 107.1 FM, not a cent. And we don't beg, and we don't care, and we don't ask. That's a form of discrimination, Mr. Burke. That is another example of discrimination, not propaganda, discrimination.
We're winding down to our last 10 minutes. I want to follow up back on this visit that we had the New York legislators pay to Guyana. I was looking at that trip and I was laughing because they had people on that visit. People on it was almost 11 of them or 12 of them. And there were people on that visit. This government has no clue. Who stood with us here in New York when we were fighting for your freedom? Those people have been in government that long, elected office that long. At least two of them were going to every free Mark Benkoff forum that we had. And the government sat there, right? And talk about, oh, these people in the diaspora, we're talking about discrimination and we're lying. And, you know, like I said, I spoke to some of them before they went and after they came back. And one of the members and I had this discussion. He's like, they didn't even know that I know everything about Mark Benchcott's imprisonment. How do you feel that one, you had this experience in Guyana? Thank God you're alive. Courtney Cameron was killed. Ronald Waddle was killed. Over 1,400 other young black men were killed. But how do you feel now that we're reliving this same thing? I'm sure if I was in Guyana, I would have been dead. I mean, the Attorney General came here next on my program Tuesday. I'll play what the FBI will allow us to play. We played it in Washington of some recordings of the people talking about what they heard from the conversation with Anil Nanlal. But how do you feel that we're reliving this period again when people's lives are threatened, when people can't talk, when they're using the police to come after you because you're talking, and they're not making any effort to reconcile with the black community? They attack everybody that criticized them. AGDA criticized them. They took away their funding for Folk Festival. Ipadije criticized them, exposed their discrimination in terms of contracts and other areas of governance. They took away their funding. Everything is a punishment, chastise, kill you, jail you. What do you make out of us reliving this experience all over again?
Well, is those of us who have the scars and who have the experience of the brutalities, the persecution, and so forth, are fortunate to be alive. And of course, I am one who is fortunate to be alive to tell the story about how vindictive and how corrupt the PPP regime is. Because I've lived through it. I've lived through that. I've experienced it personally. And you have mentioned that there are lots of senior politicians who are still around today. I mean, who are around today. They were not as senior as they are, who are very familiar with the situation. Even after coming out, I've met with many of them, whether in Washington or New York or wherever. And in fact, I recall a meeting that I've had with the late General of Jamaican background. I'm sorry, the name was just
Colin Powell.
And Colin Powell said to me, as it's Veterans Day, not so long ago, Veterans Day to all. And General Colin Powell said to me, hey, Mark, no need for you to introduce yourself. I know all about you. And that was General Colin Powell as Secretary of State of the United States of America. And the point that I'm making is that these people, these vagabonds in Guyana, believe that people don't know who they are and what they are about. They are vicious people who love to sit with drug lords and money launderers and all sort of individuals who are associated with terrorism around the world and all these things. They love to sit with these people and talk about making money. It's not about governance. It's not about making the people's lives better throughout the country. It's always about corruption. And getting back to your question in terms of how does it make us feel? We have lived through it. I mean, I've been there underground for all those years. I have had, of course, my life threatened. Black clothes police cornered my vehicle, threatened to kill. I said, well, that's it. If you got to do that, you got to do that. The likes of a Marai, the likes of a RoboCop, and all these set of people within the then notorious Black clothes police, death threats upon death threats. It wasn't easy, and so that I'm glad that I'm alive, fortunately. And unfortunately, people like Courtney Crummy Wayne, Ronald Waddle, and others are not alive to talk their stories. They're not. The PPP is an evil regime headed by Bharat Jagdeo and Irfan Ali. They are evil to the core. They do not believe in a one Guyana. They just do not believe. And when they can take people and jail them wrongfully, when they can sit and probably instigate assassinations of people, whether it's a sitting minister of their government, Saturday Saw, if they are so eager to have commissions of inquiry, why is it Commission of inquiries. Why are they not eager to have a commission of inquiry into the assassination of a sitting minister in their government?
Well, they'll be
Why,
asking them to investigate themselves.
why are they afraid of that? But Jack Deal, aka Poppy Chow, said that luncheon going to his graves with secrets, and he will go to his grave with secrets. Well, if Jack Deal has to go to his grave with secrets, let it be tomorrow. Just go. Go.
Or tonight. Final question. What's your message to the team on the ground in Guyana? If they're listening, and I know that they probably are or will, what's your message to the fact-finding team on the ground right now?
Let them not lose sleep that the corrupt, installed apartheid PPP regime members do not want to meet with them. And, you know, if I have a crystal ball right now in my hand, I would see that belatedly they would send Mark Phillips to meet with them. I wouldn't be surprised, a Mark Phillips and a Kwame McCoy to meet with them, to say that they know this. They're going to pick these people, are probably on Age Waldron, to meet with them. Irfan is not going to go, but watch who, if at all, they're going to send folks. But the message to the people there, I think the leader, the co-leader of the group, she understands, Dee understands. She's upset, of course, that they have decided that they don't want to meet. And I have, as I have said to her in that interview, obviously Jack Dew and Irfan, they have something to hide. We know what they have to hide. We know what they want to cover up. And they know that they cannot give these people a couple boxes of biscuits and some milk and some coconut ox or whatever it is. They're not going to be as easy as the team like Roxanne Prasad that went there, the state senator Roxanne Prasad. And again, I say this, I'm disappointed in those people and their excursion. But I am very pleased. I'm optimistic that this current real fact-finding team in Guyana will unearth a bunch of things that the PPP wouldn't want to be exposed in an international level, because when they get that opportunity to meet with people who have been affected, when they get that opportunity to meet with victims or the relatives of victims who are still awaiting justice, those who are being persecuted, it is a real injustice that's happening in Guyana. And those of us who have gone through that, we feel the pains of those individuals. And we are fortunate enough to have lived through it to tell the story about the PPP and how corrupt the PPP is and how murderous the PPP is and how racist the PPP is and how the PPP is so unpatriotic that they will sell out the country tomorrow. They will corrupt the police force as they have. They will corrupt the judiciary as they have. They will corrupt the Guided Defense Force as they have. They will corrupt the members of the Private Sector Commission as they have, and so forth and so on. But yet they parade themselves as a one Guyana, as there is no problem. But Ben Sharp and Rickford Burke and others are creating chaos. I'm surprised that Khan Curl, aka Irfan Ali, knows that word chaos, and that he didn't pronounce it like Clement Roy, Chautik.
That'll be the last word. And I'm seeing it coming here by Adam Prasad. Adam Prasad, rather than lecture us about being fair, why don't you talk to your political leaders, Jack Dewan, Ali, and Popcorn and Corn Curls, or whoever they are? Why don't you tell them to be fair to the African Guyanese community? Do you agree what's going on with African? So thanks for the lecture, but we don't really need it. But that'll be the last word, Mark. Thanks a lot.
I have one thing for that Nimakaram, or Namakaram, or Nimakaram, as we say in the Caribbean. One message for that Nimakaram. Tede Kabur, Nanika Chodor Kalandike, and he knows the rest. He's a Katahar, he's a Kor, he's a Chamar. That's what he is. And so he comes there, he can't talk anything better. A distraction. You have patience with those Katahar. You have patience.
And now he's a block, because he's been blocked. I just blocked him. All right, Mark, thanks a lot for coming on tonight. It was real good. This was an intense discussion for 1.5 hours. And I think everybody enjoyed it. Come again, let's do this again. And by the way, next time you accept my invitation so we could stand on the steps of Congress and the White House and kick ass. Thank you very much.
I don't have a problem with that at all. Unity makes things better. Unity makes things better. And let me say this before we go. They're gonna have nightmares because very soon Rickford Burke might give me that opportunity to become the president of CGID. Thank you.
Exactly.
Rickford. We're out of here.
Exactly. Thank you, Mark. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, my name is Jasmine Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cop. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.
Some members of the team are prepared to head to Guyana, and we just have them on the line with us. Good afternoon, folks. How are you guys doing? Dee, how are you? And how excited are you about this trip?
I'm very excited about this trip because the people of Guyana have spoken, and we're just coming to have a conversation with all the parties involved, every stakeholder, to make sure that we come up with a fact-finding mission that is unbiased and will benefit all of Guyana so they can achieve the goal of becoming indeed one Guyana.
You know, one of the things quickly, the regime has issued a press release through Mr. Irfan Ali saying that he doesn't want to meet with you guys because of a particular situation. How do you take that press release coming from the government?
I'm very disheartened by that statement that was made by the president because, one, we have no relationship with Rickford Burke. We are independent, we are unbiased, and we are autonomous. And this is not the first time that this has happened. We are coming just to be a sounding board for the citizens of Guyana, in particular, those who are Guyanese Americans or those who just have something that they want to say to the larger population, whether in America or
Through the blue main lane, group 5 is now welcome aboard group 5.
We are in the airport, so please forgive us for the sound.
Yeah, that's okay.
But we want to be very clear that we have no relationship with Rickford Burke. I have never met Rickford Burke. None of the delegation has ever met or spoken to Rickford Burke. None of that delegation. None of the delegation has ever done so. And so for the president or the PPP to make such an allegation to say that we are tied to the PPP is fallacious, and it is very, it impugns our integrity because these are individuals who are elected officials or activists in their own right. And so for them to come out and say that we, for some reason, have been tied to a situation that is trying to be with, I think it's, what is the name of his group, CDIG? I don't even know the name of the group, but whatever it is, that is unfalse. And it has no merit, and it is very disheartening because I myself.
Hey, it's not this members in group 6 now welcome aboard. This is flight 1245 on service to Miami. Board group 1 through 6 at this time.
Okay, we can ready to board now, but
that's okay.
I reached out to the president myself prior to the first press release being released out of courtesy because I do respect the sovereignness of the nation and himself to say that a press release will be coming out the next day to say that we were coming to Guyana. And he indeed responded back. He did say that he did not, that all of the things that were being said were lies. However, that he was looking forward to our visit. So then to see all of this propaganda or all this information that's going out on the email now is very disheartening because I thought that we all had a working relationship.
What do you expect to achieve from this fact-finding, this independent fact-finding mission in the end?
I'm believing that we'll be able to speak to all the Guyanese citizens and they'll be able to tell their stories. Because sometimes, being a former, politician myself, sometimes politicians may slant stories, but it's good to go to the base of the conversations, to go on the ground to the people themselves and let them express their sentiments. And that's what we're going to do. We are totally unbiased. We have no personal stakes in this game. We just want to see the best for all the citizens of Guyana, regardless of their ethnicity. And we thought that we were doing indeed the right thing. But to come out and say that we are some kind of way tied to Rickford Burke is a stretch, and we are very disheartened by it.
Yeah, quickly before you go.
So go ahead, say what you had to say.
Sir, my name is Marcus Coleman. All I was going to say is I was a part of the last delegation. And when we met with the president and his administration, this same individual's name came up as far as being associated with us. At that particular meeting, we had to make it very
Group 7 passengers now welcome aboard Group 7. This is flight 1245 with service to Miami for Group 1 through 7 at this time.
We had to make it very stern that we have no relationship, and that's, Mr. Dawkins already just stated. That is the position this time, but it is troubling for myself, who is one of the ones returning, that here it is again, that me being a part of this coalition is now even being tainted before it gets started. And it happens to deal with the same individual whose name we made it quite clear 2 years ago. So I'm looking forward to getting there so we can clear all this mess up.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for that, though. But quickly, were you surprised when Mr. Irfan Ali actually found a reason not to meet with you guys and even put everything, a cover over everything to say that there's no discrimination, there's nothing, even without giving you guys a chance to meet and hear what he has to say?
Yes, I was very surprised, but I am sure that because of the contentious relationship between Mr. Rickford Burke and the PPP, that there are some, some type of situation that is going on that would make them feel uncomfortable. However, maybe he should have reached out to me directly because he has all of my contact information. I'm transparent with the president. Actually, I was holding him in high esteem, and for him to come out and just go and say that this, he's shunning our visit, and to say that we have some type of relationship with Rickford Burke was very disheartening to me, especially when I gave him upfront notice every time before we put out a press release or before we decided to even come, and then for him to say he was looking forward to seeing us, and then for this statement to come out, it was very disheartening to me.
Finally, I know you guys are at the airport. Guyanese who are watching this program right now, listening to you guys, what message do you have for them as you're about to embark on that mission, that fact-finding mission? What message do you have for all Guyanese?
I would like to say to all of the Guyanese people that
this is the general boarding call from our flight 1245 with service to Miami. At this time, we're boarding all groups, all rows at this time. All ticketed and confirmed passengers now welcome aboard.
That to all of the Guyanese Americans, not Guyanese Americans, all Guyanese who are willing to meet with us, who have reached out, we have had an overwhelming response to our visit. We look forward to speaking with you all. And don't worry, even if we don't get on this visit, we will come again because we do want to hear the petitions of the people, and just know that we are all in this thing together, no matter where we are in the diaspora. Many of us have been part of colonization or part of oppression across the world, and it is very disheartening to see that any ethnicities who have been in minorities would ever be fighting against each other. We have to make sure that we send a strong message to any type of patriarchal society that would try to pit us against each other. So we need to be strong in what we're doing. I believe that one Guyanese can be achieved if we all work together.
Thank you so much, and we wish you guys a safe flight, and God bless you. Appreciate it. All right, so you heard there from the leader of the group there, D, is talking about being surprised, the group being surprised that the PPP, we are not surprised, but they are surprised that the PPP has issued a statement trying to find a scapegoat, trying to find an excuse not to meet with them, because they know exactly why they don't want to meet with such a quote-unquote independent fact-finding group on the way of elected officials and former elected officials and former officials on their way to Guyana there. I believe, in my opinion, the PPP is nervous about this. Now is not the time, though, for anybody to basically inject themselves into this is not a publicity stunt. This is not a publicity game. This is not to grab credit who is responsible and who's not. And those who have a habit of doing these things have to stop. They have to stop. The independent group, this has been planned months ago. The folks have accepted the invitation. They're on their way there. This is a group of individuals who are responsible for these individuals, these folks heading to Guyana, because the group is concerned that they are racial discrimination, political discrimination, hence the invitation to this U.S. group, hence the invitation to the group. to go down to Guyana to figure out what's going on this fact-finding mission. But again, the PPP, as oftentimes they look for a scapegoat. And this time the scapegoat is not involved at all, or the person they're attempting to make the scapegoat is not involved at all in the planning or any planning at all of this group of people who are heading to Guyana. And we just want to wish them all the best. We want to ensure that they are safe. Ms. D. Dawkins Hegler and her team are safe in Guyana. All right, so that's just a brief update, and we wish them all the best. And until then, my name is Mark Benchat. God bless you.
Yeah, my name is Jasmine Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965, I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cop. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.